So this is But You Seem Fine, which is a game about being diagnosed with a mental... No, not mental. This is about having an invisible illness. And struggling to get a diagnosis and be taken seriously. And this is from the developer's experience as a child. So if you would like to play this game on your computer, there is a link there. It's on itch.io, and it's also on mobile, I believe. And this was a game that was recommended to me by Strawberry Riot. These headphones. Okay, so this game does have... Oh. This visual novel is based on a true story. It's not meant to substitute professional help, nor a reflection of the range of experiences surrounding invisible illness. Thank you. Oh, hang on. OBS. I would like to add... this, please. Okay. Let's try this. Where is it? Alright. Just making sure that the audio is there. Oh, heck. Hang on. This isn't fair. Okay. This isn't how it's supposed to be. Why can't I find some answers? Chapter 1. You awaken in your bedroom. The sun is shining through the window. Just another Monday. The computer is sitting behind you on the bed, open to the pause screen from the night before. You must have fallen asleep watching the new season of Super Space Sailors, a documentary on genes and cloning, a performance by Yo-Yo Mama. That was a bit loud. I would have probably been watching a documentary on genes and cloning. While it was interesting to watch, you still aren't sure why you got problem 7 wrong on the last quiz. You better talk to Mr. Jefferson after class sometime this week. You rub some of the sleep on out of your eyes and head downstairs before you're later than you already are. Good morning, sweetie. If you'd slept any longer, I would have let you fend for yourself. But since you have some time to spare before heading off to work, what would you like for breakfast? Before I have some time to spare. I'm like, I'm pretty sure I'm still in high school, Mum. Let's do bacon and eggs. Excuse me? Rae Kim, aren't you forgetting something? Please, would you do me the absolute honor of preparing breakfast, my dear mother? Okay, save the dramatic language for the theatre, but thank you. Well, Mum prepares breakfast, you pack lunch for the day. Looks like the only option's leftover tikka masala. Yum! Mum sets bacon and eggs on the table and you shove it down before heading toward the door. You arrive at school in record time. Was it breakfast that made the difference? Mum is always a killer chef and bacon and eggs has never failed you. You're lost at thought, heading towards your locker when you spot the one, the only, Sadie! Inquire about life. Sadie, what's up? Rae, please tell me you're finally caught up on Super Space Sailors, because I cannot hold back these spoilers anymore. Well... Oh, come on! The hall monitor shoots you both a nasty look, lowering her voice. Sadie continues. I know it's only been so-so since Captain Park got killed off, but you just have to make it through the first 4 episodes, and then it gets good again. 4 episodes? I need to slug through 2 whole hours before it gets good again? They bring back that researcher, Emma Starling? 2 hours is doable. You chuckle to yourself and head to your first class of the day. Home sweet home. Mum and Dad won't be back from work for a couple of hours and there's a lot to get done. Let's do homework. Maintaining good marks does not come without effort. You think you heard someone say that at some point. Regardless, you dive headfirst into some worksheets prom today. Let's practice cello. You're feeling artistic and musical. Plus, the swan from the Carnival of Animals has been stuck in your head since you heard it earlier in class. You pick up your bow and start playing. Play soccer? Seems like forever since you kicked the soccer ball in the garage. Maybe it's time to dust off those dormant skills from the middle school. Besides, getting outside is good for the body and mind. That's enough for one day. Your throat is starting to feel a bit scratchy. Maybe it's allergies? Either way, you better get some rest. You shuffle to your bed and call it a night. You wake up the next morning, totally unable to breathe. That is until you open your mouth. Your nose is completely congested and you can barely make a croaking noise with your throat burning. Yep, I'm sick. This blows. Let's get some sleep. You let your eyelids drift close and... You let your eyelids close as you drift in and out of consciousness. You fall back asleep. Your eyelids get heavier and heavier. Slowly you drift off. Turns out this cold hit you harder than normal and recovery is taking longer than you used to. You miss a full week of school while you're sick in bed, battling fever, congestion, and throat pain. 1 week later. You finally feel well enough to come back to school. You're excited to be back in the swing of things. You missed orchestra, and you missed drama club, and most of all, you missed your friends. Speak of the devil, there's Sadie. Talk schoolwork. Okay, give it to me straight. How much work did I miss? Rae, where on earth have you been? I was actually starting to worry. You explained how the last week of your life has been spent battling your sickness in bed, and your only contact with the outside world was when your mum would come in to give you medicine and soup. Yikes, but you're still contagious, right? No way, I haven't felt sick since Friday. I tried to text you, but I kind of lost my phone in a wad of tissues. Rae, that's disgusting, but you're really better? Yeah, although... Nothing, I just wish I wasn't so tired. You got the rest of your classes to the day, eager to catch up for the rest of your schoolwork. School's over, what do you do? Let's do chamber orchestra. You meet up with your chamber orchestra buddies and start rehearsal. You've missed your school cello. It might be a lot older and more wore down than the one you keep at home, but you'll take it over having to lug the huge instrument back and forth twice a week. Rehearsal goes smoothly, but your time off has not been kind, and you have a bit of trouble keeping up with the group's new music. When you wake up the next morning, you're stuffy and have a fever and incredible headache. How are you sick again? You just got better, but it looks like the sickness is back for round 2. Ugh, I'd give it anything to stay in bed longer. There's a knock at your door. After a short pause, Mum comes in. I know you're not still in bed. It's nearly time for me to go to work. Please. Rae? Not looking so hot. I don't feel 100% better. It looks like the cold decided to stick around a little longer. Stay home. I'll call the school and get you excused. It's better to sleep and let this bug pass along. You got great news? Hello, welcome back, Strawberry Riot. We finished the game. We finished Fall of Porcupine, and I decided to have a look at this game that you recommended me. I had decided to have a look at, but you seem fine. Also, what's your great news if you don't mind sharing? I would love to hear your great news. But it's good to know that you've got great news. But also, I feel like this character is gonna get, like... There's something wrong with this character already. but maybe also chronic fatigue is going to be a problem. Because, like, one of the things that is fairly common after getting, like, something that seems to, like, seriously not want to go away is chronic fatigue syndrome. In fact, that's what long COVID is, believe it or not. It's just mostly, like, it's completely consistent with chronic fatigue syndrome, and the fact that they're trying to call it something different is kind of infuriating. Great news is you ate a very nice dinner. That's awesome. I'm so glad that you had a nice dinner. What did you have? What kind of food was it? You want to argue. You have a ton of schoolwork and a million club responsibilities, but the thought of going back to sleep is just too tempting. Thanks, Mum. Mum smiles back and heads to the hallway. You fall asleep once more. You had bread and dip? Oh my gosh. Bread is so good and dip is so good. What kind of dip was it? I need to have dinner soon. It's 7 o'clock. I need to have dinner soon. Morning again. The sun streams through the window, forcing you to shield your eyes. I'm heading off to work, but I'll leave some medicine in the nightstand. Feel better, sweetie. You grumble in response and head back to sleep. She leaves. You wake up groggy and tired. You are disoriented and you have no idea how much time has passed or how long you've been asleep. It seems late. Check your phone. The phone reads 9:30 p.m. You can see light peeking out from underneath your door. You hear your parents talking softly to each other as they watch TV in the other room. You look down at your phone again. There's one new message. One was beetroot and the other was capsicum. Oh my gosh. That sounds delightful. I love beetroot. Beetroot is such a good root. It is one of the best roots. Honestly. There's so much you can do with beetroot. If only it didn't like stain everything, I would use beetroot all the time. Hey, you're not sick again, are you? You pocket your phone and head downstairs. Your stomach is grumbling. You're not quite sure when you last ate. Highly recommend. Yes, I feel like I want to just go to the shops right now and grab dip, but I'm pretty sure everything's closed. It's a public holiday. Sit down. We have some leftovers from dinner. Would you like me to reheat them? You nod. Mum pulls out a plate and uncovers it before popping it in the microwave. You stare blankly into the distance. Mum places the plate in front of you and leans against the counter, watching you start to eat. She's clearly concerned. Thank you. You finish your food and get up to leave the table. Before you go, you glance around. I love you. You head back upstairs and go back to bed. Damn public holiday. I know, right? Ruining my day by giving people a day off. I'm very pro people having days off, and I wish that the shops would actually close more often on public holidays. They don't need to be open. They're already open Sundays. They don't need to be open Mondays on public holidays as well. Like, come on. You wake up again. Some time has passed, but you don't know how much. Oh, can't get up. You roll your body to the edge of the bed, but anything more is just not possible. Waking up again, you realize you are no less tired than when you last slept. You have no clue how long you've been asleep. Get up. You just don't have the energy. You rub some of the sleep from your eyes. Mum is looking at you worried. You frown. We're going to the doctor, sweetie. Time to get up. You grumble. She helps you get dressed and you stumble into the car. How dare the shops not be open to buy dip? And no, it's such a personal affront. They should cater to... They should just leave dip out the front of shops for people to just come and collect when they need it. Because everybody needs dip. Nobody is never not in need of dip. Specifically beetroot dip. And some hummus. Hummus is fantastic. I love chickpeas. Okay, so I have captions. And when I said chickpeas, it did not spell it as chickpeas. It spelled it as chick and then P-E-E-S. And it's like... This chickpeas is a word. Chickpeas spelled like that is not a word. Come on. Yes, exactly. How dare the world not revolve around me? You get it. You grumble, she helps you get dressed, and you stumble into the car. You and your mum are at the doctor's office here to see your primary care physician, Dr. Harris. What brings you in today? Mum explains. The sick, the gettings, the endless sleeping, the suddenness of it all. Well, I'll do some checkups and see if anything's wrong. He has you open your mouth and say, ah. Checks your eyes, your ears, your nose. He pulls out a stethoscope and listens to your heart. He listens to you cough. He listens to you breathe. He takes your temperature. He tests your reflexes. He takes your blood pressure. He sits back. Well, nothing seems to be wrong. You've shaken the bug completely, but you're in high school, aren't you? You're 14? Maybe this has something to do with your hormones, or maybe you're just depressed. You stare blankly. Mum frowns. She's not just depressed, there's something wrong. I've never seen her like this before. I know what she's normally like, and this is not something's not right. He sighs and scribbles something onto a pad of paper. He rips off 2 sheets. Here, 2 prescriptions, one for birth control, one for antidepressants. Maybe she'll get better. Did he seriously not believe me? I'm your mother. I know what I'm talking about. The nerve of that man. Also, you shouldn't prescribe somebody birth control before taking bloods and doing an actual check on their hormone levels. Just like, that's very basic medicine. That is actually part of the reason why you do need to go to the doctor to get birth control, is that they should be testing your blood levels at least every 12 months if you are on some sort of oral contraception. You know? And also they should be doing that before they prescribe you antidepressants as well, to like make sure that they're not giving you something that's gonna like poison you. Like, these are things that are important. It's important to do bloods, and you're not going to get the answer in that one session. You know? Yeah, it's not great. It's good that also they're standing up in the car. That's hilarious to me. But it's good that this mum is like trying to advocate. From personal experience, there are a lot of parents that will not believe that their child is ill and just think that they're lazy. You say nothing, choosing to stare out the window. We're going to have a look somewhere else. You mumble in agreement and then nod off to sleep. This feels like chronic fatigue. But, like, the thing about chronic fatigue is that it's not necessarily a diagnosis in and of itself. Usually it's an indication of something else. Fatigue, like, is usually a symptom that is used in a diagnostic criteria, but the frustrating thing about fatigue, and also our understanding of the human body and physiology and like health in general, is that we have a lot of idiopathic illnesses, which basically means we don't know what causes them, and we also have a lot of, like, we don't have a complete understanding of illnesses. So the process for diagnosing chronic fatigue syndrome, or ME, and I know what ME stands for, but I can't pronounce it. Oh no, your Wi-Fi gave up on itself? Well, good, Strawberry Rae. I hope that you have a good rest of your evening, and I'm so sorry about your Wi-Fi. I'll miss you. But the thing with, like, chronic fatigue syndrome, or ME, as it is correctly known, that's the official diagnosis, is that it is a disorder that is diagnosed through, what's it called? Elimination. It's diagnosed through elimination. So basically you have to eliminate every other situation that could be causing fatigue, or could be causing the symptoms, like the amalgamation of symptoms, which in my case, like, it's fatigue, it's pain, it's lowered immune system, so I get sick more often, particularly if I'm more stressed. And one of the first things they always turn to, if all of the bloods are fine, if everything that they test for is fine, is mental health. And so for the longest time, I just was being told that it's just depression. All of these symptoms are just related to depression. But I have been through depression periods. I am not currently depressed, and antidepressants never helped me. Especially because my singular complaint was, I am too tired to do any of the things I enjoy, and that is depressing me. But the antidepressants were not helping with the fatigue at all. In fact, most of them, if they did anything at all, which most of them did nothing, they did nothing for me. They didn't do anything for, like, any mood stabilizing in me. If anything, that they made the fatigue worse. If they did anything, they would just make me more tired. And so I was just tired, and it was making me depressed. And the only thing that helped was getting a stable enough environment to where I could figure out how much capacity I had to do things and try to work from there, instead of trying to constantly overextend myself and then constantly getting sick. And it's hard because it's still very frustrating, because I do not have a very high capacity. I would say that my capacity is better than most people with chronic fatigue, which in itself is kind of frustrating because it makes getting it diagnosed harder, because people are like, well, you don't seem that bad. But my capacity is at best 50% of an average person, which makes it hard, because if I have a good day, I could maybe get half as much physically done as another person. And that's not great for my personal, like, you know, quality of life, as well as just trying to get employed. Trying to, like, you know, be a competitive candidate in this late-stage capitalist world that only cares about maximum productivity and maximum exploitation. It's really hard to be like, these are my limits, and they are hard limits, and no, I can't overextend myself, and yes, I am still worthy because of the amount that I can do in the period of time that I can do things. It's good, high quality work, but people don't care, because they only care that they have to pay me a certain amount of money for half as much work as what somebody else might be able to do. Not even half as much work, it's half as many hours, really. I'm usually doing a full day's work in that amount of time. But, you know, they only care about somebody who can be there for the whole amount of time that they want them to be there, so it's hard. You blink slowly and start to wake up. You don't know how long it's been since you first got sick, but the days seem endless now. So yeah, all of this to say is that, like, chronic fatigue can be a symptom, but it can also be a symptom of a diagnosis of chronic fatigue syndrome. But it's not necessarily always chronic fatigue syndrome. Like, fatigue is, like, if you look at almost any illness, really, like, whether it's acute or whether it's chronic, fatigue is definitely one of the symptoms. Fatigue is always a symptom, which is what makes it so hard, is that the body only has so many emergency buttons that it can press before it's just, like, pressing all of them, and it's not actually providing overly useful diagnostic criteria just to explain the symptoms of what the patient is experiencing, what the person is experiencing. It's not always useful, which is why we have further diagnostic criteria, like scanning people and doing blood tests and doing cultures and all those sort of things. Check the time. You roll over and stare at your clock. You've been sleeping for 16 hours? Why do I still feel so exhausted? can't get up, so let's just go back to sleep. You still feel like you've been hit by a truck. Nothing would feel better than sleeping into a temporary coma. Honestly, this has been, like, for me, the ability to try to slip into a coma is so tempting. You pull the covers back into your chin and let yourself doze off. Rae, wake up. You wake up suddenly to the sound of your mum's voice. She's shaking you by the shoulders and trying to get you up and out of bed. Rae, we're going to be late to the doctor's. Didn't you see my text message? Let's just do what she says. Groggily, you put your hoodie over your head and put on a pair of sweatpants while Mum walks you to the door and into the car. You fidget uneasily as the two of you wait for the doctor to appear. Mum says that he's an ENT doctor, but you're not sure what that stands for. Based on the large picture of a cross-section of a head on the wall, you guess it stands for ear, nose, and throat. Mum got the referral from your primary care physician after he found out that you've been congested and sick a couple of times. I don't know why we're even here. 10 more minutes go by. Hello, I'm Dr. Clark. Mum goes over the same spiel that she gave Dr. Harris. He listens and nods occasionally as he inspects you for a normal checkup procedures. Well, her ears and throat look fine. I'll need a closer look over her nose. Pulls out a long thin device. It looks like a stick. He says it's a camera, and to your great discomfort, he shoves it up your nose. Nope, not really seeing anything here. He moves the stick around. It hurts a lot, but it's mostly just weird. He leans back in his chair, finally finished. You know what I think? I think she's a teenager. She had a cold, and now she's milking it for all she can. A chart says she's on antidepressants already, so there's not much else I can do. Look, kid, you've just got to suck it up and go to school, even if you're sick. You know, when I was a kid, I got the chicken's pox, and still I went to school. Well, aren't you just the picture of, like, herd immunity? You probably got everybody sick with the chicken pox, and now there's a significant portion of people there that are at risk of shingles because of you. So I hope you're happy. You should not be proud of what you did there. He rambles on for a bit as you zone out. Mum stares at him in silence, but you can tell that she's carefully holding back her words. When he finishes his lecture, she calmly stands up and walks out of the room. You shuffle out after her. Stay hydrated, everybody. You make a brief stop in the waiting room, while Mum takes care of the copay, and you both head home, none the wiser than when you came. Several days later. It's the weekend after your appointment. You're resting in bed when your phone vibrates. It's a text from Sadie. Dude, we start a new project in art class tomorrow. What's something awesome you could put on your wall? That's so sweet. Plus, you would be lying if you said you hadn't been asking for... Plus, you would be lying if you said you hadn't been asking for some art from her for a while. Super Space Sailors fan art, a Victorian portrait. Let's go for a field of flowers. A field of flowers. You hit send, and before you know it, there's a response. You got it, Captain. Just make sure you get back to school at some point to pick it up. Yeah, hopefully sooner rather than later if you have anything to say about it. You hear Mum calling from the kitchen. You pocket your cell phone and get out of bed. Coming. Also, I think she has a Hamilton poster in her bedroom, but it's Eliza. That's interesting. Oh, look who came when called. Yeah, about that. What could you possibly want this early on a Sunday? Rae, it's 2 p.m. Oh. I need to bring a dish to potluck tomorrow. Since you spent the last few days in your room, I figured you might want to help. I don't know, I'm still tired, Mum. Mum sighs heavily. Alright, just help me choose something that people will actually eat. Quinoa salad, cucumber sandwiches, green bean casserole. I mean, everybody's into quinoa right now. I wouldn't eat it, but it's probably more likely to be eaten than anything else. Well, quinoa has been sitting on the shelf for a while. Just because your father hated the stuff doesn't mean it deserves to rot in purgatory. Grab some tomatoes and onions from the fridge, will you? Hey, it was worth a shot. You hear your mum giggle as she turns back to the fridge. Several weeks later. You and your mum have another doctor's appointment. This whole process is starting to seem like a cycle of missing school and getting nowhere, but you guess finding an answer is worth it. Apparently there's a chance that this whole energy issue is a problem with your heart, so you're in to see a cardiologist today. The doctor listens to your heartbeat and your breath. It seems alright, but let's do a cardiogram with a heart ultrasound just to make sure. You lie down on the table. The tech attaches 20 different electrodes to your head and your chest for the cardiogram. You lie there and you feel like a potato battery. After a few minutes, you're ushered into another corner of the room for an ultrasound. You take off your shirt and the tech pushes down on your chest with a device covered in cold gel. She keeps looking for different angles and it hurts your ribs. You wince at the pressure and squeeze your eyes shut, trying to go somewhere else in your mind. You see your heart show up on the black and white monitor. It seems small. The nurse examines it. Well, you have a teeny tiny heart murmur, but it's really small. I don't think it's anything to worry about. It's definitely not the issue here. Great. Another dead end. Your phone lights up. There's a reminder in your calendar. Find monologue for full play auditions. Alright. We've just been to see a cardiologist who says we have a small heart murmur, but it would not be explaining the fatigue that we're experiencing. Your phone lights up. There's a reminder in your calendar. Find monologue for full play auditions. Damn, you really want to try out for the lead, but you haven't had the time or energy to prepare or anything. Maybe you'll feel better by next week and can find something in time. There's also a text from Sadie. You, me, Super Space Sailors marathon this weekend. We can finish the whole season if we watch non-stop for 24 hours. That would be so much fun, but you know you just don't have the energy to get to Sadie's place, let alone stay up with her for hours on end. Rain check Sadie. You've got so much to check up this... Rain check Sades. You've got so much to catch up on this weekend. You send a text and tuck your phone away, staring out the car window. These doctor's appointments are wearing you down. You're not sure if it's even worth it anymore, but you still wish you had an answer. Do you keep searching? Yes. Of course, we've hit a few dead ends, but someone's got to come up with something. Sure, there's a few bad apples, but maybe the next doctor will be better. Several weeks later. You wake up and find yourself in your room. Everything seems peaceful. Weird, you glance at the clock. Ah, 8:48? This does not bode well for your 9 o'clock class. Mum! There's no response. She must have already left for work. You grab the nearest article of clothing and sprint to the bathroom. Maybe if you hurry, you won't be that late. Yeah, there was an Eliza poster in her bathroom. Arriving at class a solid 25 minutes late, you slam your backpack down and pull out your notes. A rush of adrenaline for booking it to school has got you wired. As fast as you can, you start scribbling down notes from the whiteboard. Okay, adjectives, noun modifiers. They describe a noun, adverb, adjective, verb, or other adverb modifiers. Examples include... Rae! Huh? Sadie? Dude, it's time for PE. Wait, what? Oh god. Haha, did you fall asleep? Yeah, can I borrow your notes? Sure, but you seem like you made good progress already. What? Look at the notebook in front of you, and sure enough, there are lines of notes written on the page. Barely legible, but still there. Oh, did I write these in my sleep? Oh my gosh, that's like a superpower. I would kill to be able to do that. I'm not sure how you feel about this statement, but you brush it off. Since you woke up, you're feeling surprisingly refreshed. As weird as the nap was, it gives you enough of a boost to make it through the rest of the school day. Mum got a recommendation from this holistic doctor, Dr. Worth. Alternative medicine as a concept doesn't exactly click in your mind, but at this point, you're getting desperate for answers. His office is in the nice part of town. It was hard to find parking. As you walk in, you notice the office is covered in embroidered pillows. His Harvard degree sits on the wall in a nice frame. Dr. Worth listens to the spiel. He says he has some ideas about what might be going wrong and orders some blood tests. You go to the section of the office with the phlebotomist, aka the person who draws blood. She pulls your hoodie sleeve, ties your arm, and disinfects the bend of your arm. She tells you that they need 11 vials of blood today. You nod, she slides the needle in, and you don't look. After you get your blood drawn, you meet up with your mum at the front desk. Apparently the doctor recommended some specialty supplements that he also sells in-house. Of course he did. You watch as the price tag climbs with each additional bottle. You find out, of course, that they're not covered by insurance. Mum pays the exorbitant price, and the two of you head home. You should not buy anything until the blood test comes back. And also, the fact that none of the other doctors did a blood test is, like, appalling. Spend the next week downing extra supplements, vitamins, minerals, weird powders you mix with apple juice, you name it. Some of them taste gross and some of them are the size of horse pills, but you swallow them all. With your previous meds and your new supplements combined, you now have a personalized medication chart taped to the inside of the pantry cabinet. There's your morning pills, 7, your lunch pills, 5, and your night pills, 9, for a whopping total of 20 pills a day. Now, these pills are supposed to make you feel better. Why do you feel so much worse all the time? Several weeks later. You and your mum are back to see Dr. Worth. He pulls some pieces of paper. They have your name at top, as well as a bunch of tables with all sorts of numbers on it. Do you know what these are? A chart of some kind? Right, it shows high level of liver enzymes. He drones on a bit about how certain activities can have side effects that are evident in many ways. Teenagers often fail to recognize that the stress they're placing on their bodies has lasting effect. Seemingly cool is more important than their later health. Wait a minute. What? There's no easy way to say this. Your daughter is sniffing glue. No. Excuse me? I'm not. Honestly, the absurdity of the proposal shakes you more than you are willing to admit. You, Rae Kim, the druggie getting high behind the dumpster after 5th period? Maybe if you planted the rumor in your skill, you could gain some street cred. Except for the fact that a total of 0 people would believe it. I understand this is hard for you to hear, but catching it early is the first step to recovery and intervention. Mum cuts him off by standing. Thank you for the advice. Good day. Uh-oh, Mum is overemphasizing her sentences. This isn't good. You follow Mum out the door, leaving Dr. Worth shaking his head. The silence is palpable. I'm not sniffing. I know. Because I would never. I know. Great, what a complete and utter waste of time. Your phone lights up. It's an email from Dr. Jefferson. Titled, See Me for Exam Score. Crap. The only time Mr. Jefferson asks to see students is when they're failing. This is not a good day to be missing school again. There's also a text from Sadie. You're not dying, are you? Someone from school started a rumor that you were dying. It was Karen Murphy, so of course I don't believe her, but still, you would tell me, right? Ugh, Karen Murphy. If you had the mental energy to be mad, you would be. Not dying, just sick. Talk soon. You send the text and take your phone away, going back to looking out the window. Well, so much for doctors being better than the rest. In fact, this doctor may have been even worse. The only thing these doctors have done is make assumptions about who you are, and a grand total of none of them have helped in the slightest. Why can't someone just tell me what's wrong already? Keep searching, yes. Despite everything, the chance of finding out what's wrong is still worth it for now. Several weeks later. Yeah, it's Eliza. Oh, is this the thing that your friend made? Cool. It's midday. You can tell the minute you open your eyes from the sun shining in the window. You have not been to school any day this week or last week. You don't even want to think about the makeup assignments that you are going to have to do when you finally get back. If you ever get back, sometimes it feels like the sickness will last forever. Rolling out of bed, you see your cello across the room. It's been a while since you played. Nothing would make you happier. You grab your backpack and take out the sheet music your orchestra's director sent you. A time like the present, an hour of practice will help keep up with the rest of them when I get to rehearsal again. You take out your cello from its case and pick up your bowl, prepping to start the piece. The notes are long and flowing and feel amazing to play, but before long your arm position on the cello weighs you down. Your muscles ache from moving the bow back and forth. You look at the clock. Only 20 minutes in, I've never felt this tired after only this long. You set the cello back in its case and take a break. You don't know why you thought you could actually practice normally, especially given how you're feeling lately. It do be like that. It do be like that. You're going to see a blood doctor today. You didn't know there were doctors that just studied blood. You're ready for another run-of-the-mill experience similar to the ones you've already had. Rae Kim? You nod, but the doctor doesn't even lift her gaze from the file in her hands. She lifts her eyes over her rectangular glasses to get a better look at you. She looks back down at the file with her notes, then back at you, then back down. I think it might be Lyme disease. It's pretty rare. I'm not sure if you've been in the area with ticks, but it's worth checking out. I'll order a blood test. You're almost taken aback by the efficiency of the appointment. She didn't even touch you or come close to getting a good enough look at you. Maybe she was just that good. Or just that bad. Your phone lights up. It's a text from your orchestra conductor. Regretfully, you've been cut from the upcoming recital for not attending enough rehearsals. You feel tears sting your eyes, but as you put your phone away. There's also a text from Sadie. Hey. Hey, can't talk. You send her the text and tuck your phone away, staring out the window. You try not to think about how much you wish you could play that recital. Today was a complete bust. Keep searching. Look at Mum. Despite everything, she's still your strongest advocate. She might be the only one on your side at all. She's fighting so hard for you, and that makes you determined to keep going. Another doctor it is. Several weeks later, auditions for the school play tomorrow. You haven't had much time to prepare, but there are some monologues you have memorized from last time. Let's do Hamilton. Nice. You pull out the script and start flipping through it until you find a chunk of text that works for this edition, then get to work. Hours later, you lay on your back having memorized and practiced your audition to your heart's content. You proudly set an alarm and climb into bed ready for tomorrow. The next day... Rae! Your eyes open to find your cheeks sitting in your breakfast. Huh? What happened? I'm not an expert, but I believe you fell asleep in your breakfast. Ugh. Rise out of your chair and wipe some of your breakfast off your face. Your mum is watching you carefully. Even walking to the sink tires you out. You lean against the counter and try to rub some of the sleep from your eyes. Honey, I really don't think you should be going to school today. Auditions. And no, it's your choice. She's right. You know she's right. But it doesn't hurt you any less. You can barely function this morning. There's no way you're going to make it this afternoon. Okay. Several weeks later. You had no idea there were so many types of specialists for doctors, but here you are, and somehow you've made your way to an infectious disease doctor. Mum launches into the same spiel as before. The doctor doesn't even have the decency to talk about you to your face. She leans over your head directly to your mum, showing a series of laminated sheets with charts with graphs on them. Rude. Mum notices your sour expression. So Rae, what do you think of all this? Dr. Lee, as it says on her coat, turns to give you an obviously forced smile. Oh, you don't have to worry about the fine details. I'm sure they'll go over your head anyway. You sit there taken aback as Dr. Lee turns back to Mum. Excuse me, I may be a kid, but I'm not stupid. You sit there fuming while Mum smiles and nods at the doctor. Dr. Lee thinks you probably have something, but not an infectious disease. Yeah, I could have told you that one, genius. Despite the lack of infectious disease, she writes you an official doctor's note to excuse the amount of school you've been missing. The second appointment is over, you beeline out the door. Neither of you are happy about the appointment you just had or the money you just spent. You look at the note in your hand, an official excuse to be missing class. The note reads, Infectious Disease Clinic in bold black letters at the top. Looks intimidating, but you suppose it's effective enough. After missing so much school, you need something to show administration so you don't get expelled. Mum looks at you. You look back at Mum. She squeezes your hand tightly, but her eyes are less bright than they were before. She would never show up, but the constant barrage of doctors is taking its toll on her as well. You can only be treated like a science experiment for so long before you snap. It just seems like no matter how hard you try, there are 1,000 things in the way of finding answers. You just wish you could go back to normal. Things could go back to normal. That you could leave behind the world of doctors and appointments for good. You were just so tired. Mum drops you off at school to turn in your doctor's note. It feels like years since you've been here. You wish you were back for good. After dropping off your doctor's note at the front office, you head to the hallway to see if you can find any of your friends. Lo and behold, Sadie is standing right there at a locker, loading books into her bag. Casually say hi. You walk up to the locker, trying not to shock her too much. You put on a soft smile. Hi. Sadie turns and breaks into a smile too. Hey stranger, it's been a minute, hasn't it? She slings her backpack over her shoulder and pulls you into a hug. I was worried you were never going to come back to school and would just fade into the background, never to be seen again. Which makes me wonder what would happen to your locker. Would they auction it off in like some storage wars, or does it go to next of kin? You laugh at her bemused face. Man, she hasn't changed at all. Good. No goes to my parents, duh. Although you could probably steal some pencils before they got to it. I know how much you want my watercolor pencils. I would never, unless you were offering, in which case I would definitely take those off your hands. You both burst into giggles. So now that you're back, we have some catching up to do. You have to hear the hot goss that Mackenzie's dishing. Your smile falls. Actually, I'm only stopping by today. I got a doctor's note to excuse how much school I've been missing. Sadie deflates. Oh, I just thought... No, it's fine. You take all the time you need, but... What is it? You haven't actually told me what it is. Is it contagious? Why have you been spending so much time away from school? You don't really want to explain everything to yet another person, but Sadie is your friend. She means well. You launch into a summary of your life since the beginning of the fall. The sleeping, the doctors, the pills, the endless number of tests, how discouraging it all is, how you wish you just had an answer. She nods along without saying anything. Actually, I have an appointment with a doctor that specializes in hormones. They think it might have something. They might think of something that will help. Might? Well, yeah. I don't know. I'm just skeptical that anything will help. Maybe it's your diet. When I don't eat enough, I feel tired. That's not really... Or maybe you aren't exercising enough? My mum says that young people like us need to run around and tire ourselves out in order to get a good night's rest. Well, drinking water can help the body wake up and be ready for the day. I read that in a self-help guide. You read self-help guides? No, or at least I didn't used to. After you stopped coming to school, I wanted to help, so I read up on some stuff. I got a book from the library called 1001 Diseases, 1001 Diseases You Could Have and Not Know. She pulls out the textbook from her backpack and shoves it in your hands. It's pretty hefty to be carrying around just in case you saw each other. You can tell that she put a lot of effort in for you. This isn't really what you wanted to hear after the onslaught of doctors you visited. Sadie shuffles her weight back and forth. She obviously wants to say something, but it's clearly uncomfortable. Actually, have you heard of psychosomatic symptoms? Your heart drops. Yes, you have. It's basically when you think you're sick, but it's actually all in your head and... Excuse me? I'm not saying that's what you have, but you've been to all of these doctors and they don't know what's wrong with you. Doctors are smart and they should know things. Right, they should. What if you aren't actually sick? Then you just need to think positive until you get better and things can go back to normal. You stare at Sadie, almost in shock. Think positive? Are you serious? What? You think I'm making this up? Do you not believe me too? I do, but I don't know. I just don't see how you can say you're so sick and yet stand here and... What? Look like you're fine. The words hang in the air for a moment. Tears sting your eyes. You stare at her for a few seconds before you turn around, walk down the hall, and exit the school. I seem fine. How could she say that? After I spilled my heart out to her and let her know everything I've gone through, how could she still think that everything is fine? Several days later. You're at another doctor's appointment with Mum. Visiting school took a lot of energy out of you, and this isn't helping. You feel miserable. You've been sitting in this room for a couple of minutes, but honestly, all of these offices are starting to blend together. This lady is an endocrinologist, a hormone doctor. Dr. Jones gave you a referral after your blood tests were negative for Lyme disease. Surprise, surprise. The doctor enters the room with a flourish, her red cowboy boots flashing and her dress swirling. You look at her in awe. She sits down and faces you and your mum, smiling brightly. She extends her hand out to you. Hello, my name is Julie. What can I call you? You shake her hand, a bit taken aback by her friendliness. I'm Rae. I'm sick, but I'm not happy about it, so that's why I'm here. Julie laughs heartily, but you can't help but smile too. Well, your funny bone clearly isn't damaged. Let's start at the beginning and try to get a grasp on what's going on. We believe it started at the beginning of this year with... Actually, Mum, could I hear this part from Rae? It may help me understand a bit better. You look at her for a second before launching into your own story, eager for her advice and opinions. She looks at you, really looks at you like you're a person and not some test subject. She listens to your story earnestly. When she has ideas and questions, she doesn't overstep her boundaries. It feels like you're involved in the process, like you have a seat at the table. Okay, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but I might have an idea. I have your blood test from Dr. Jones, and they show high levels of a hormone called cortisol. Do you know what that is? You nod yes, you've heard of this before. Dr. Julie continues to explain how some of your symptoms and aspects of your story are typical of a certain illness, one that seems very familiar. These symptoms line up perfectly with what we call Cushing's syndrome. That's something that I've been tested for, and I don't have that. But it should have been on the basic testing. Like, yeah, it should have been on the basic testing. The fact that this is the first doctor that's brought it up is concerning. Based on your blood tests, I believe that you may have an adrenal tumor on the pituitary gland that's affecting your hormones. A tumor? Dr. Julie smiles and places a comforting hand on your shoulder. I understand that this seems pretty scary, but an MRI will. No, it's not that. It really wasn't. You couldn't describe it, but you were almost happy. Cushing's syndrome, is it treatable? Well, we should confirm that it is what you actually have first. With treatment, it has been found to be completely reversible. You turn to Mum, who's smiling at your side. You hug her, and she holds you close, tears threatening to fall from your eyes. Thank you. Dr. Julie walks with you and your mum as you head to the MRI. Hopefully this will be the last of the exploratory tests. I've had an MRI before. Several days later. The sun is going down as you open your eyes for the first time today. It's almost peaceful outside your window as you lie in bed. There's a soft knock at your door, and Mum slowly opens it. Sweetie? You sit up out of bed. Her voice is too soft. She strokes your hair and sighs. Dr. Julie's office just called with some news about the MRI. Oh. I know we both really wanted Dr. Julie to be right. No. I'm sorry, but the scans came back negative for a tumor of any sort. You feel numb and your world, like the world just dropped away from underneath you and you're floating. You know you're supposed to feel happy. You know you're supposed to be relieved. But in your mind, this was your solution. This was your answer. This was going to be the end of seeing all the doctors and getting all the tests done. The end of being poked and prodded and treated like a science experiment, of being less than human. But after everything, all the hope you got from Dr. Julie is just another dead end. This isn't fair. This isn't how it's supposed to be. I'm a teenager. I should be enjoying life, going to school, getting in trouble from coming home late. That's what everybody else gets to do. That's what they do on TV. Why can't this just end? Mum leans in to comfort you, but you don't respond. Instead, you stare straight ahead, tears streaming down your face. She gives you some space. Sweetheart, just don't, okay? I hate this. I hate all of this. I just want to go to school and see my friends. I just want to be a normal kid. I just want all of this to be over. Mum reaches out in comfort. Please, I want to be alone. She nods in understanding and rises. But before she leaves, she turns back. We're going to have to stop at the doctor's for a little while. We don't have enough money. We're going to have to stop going to the doctor's for a little while. We don't have enough money to see anyone else. But I promise we're going to figure out what this is. She shuts the door behind you and you curl into a ball beneath your blankets, letting your sobs overtake your body. You cry until you're absolutely exhausted and you can't even move. Sleep. Gamesy! Hello! Chapter 3. We're playing a game called But You Seem Fine, which is about an invisible illness and trying to get diagnosed. It is far too relatable. It's kind of upsetting. All of the doctors are terrible. You wake up in your bedroom. It's just another Monday. Let's try to get up. That's not possible. It's just not possible. You wake up again. It's still Monday. I guess we go back to sleep. You aren't ready to get up yet. You fall back asleep. It's fine, it's just like life. We're used to it. Oh god, it's too real, isn't it? It's like, it's actually really sad as well because her mom is trying so hard to advocate for her. And like, I did not experience that, but like, I don't think I would actually be necessarily better off in terms of getting a diagnosis, and that sucks. Like, you know? Because it's like, what can parents do other than try to take you to different doctors when it's actually like an institutional issue that you can't get diagnosed? I'm doing okay. I'm struggling mostly because of the heat right now. We got a heat wave in South Australia, so that's a struggle. But I've decided to play this game because it was suggested to me by somebody in chat earlier. And because I was playing a different game called The Fall of Porcupine, and that game was so disappointing in terms of the content of it and the writing of it, and I felt like I wanted something that actually did some justice to storytelling for the healthcare system, and so I started playing this. Oh yeah, you can't be better off just because the parent is trying their best. I know, I wish that that was like all it took. I wish. Imagine how much better the world would be. The struggle is still the world is not good. Exactly. Oh my gosh, you've got a heat wave too. Oh, I'm so sorry. That sucks. That's so terrible. 0 out of 10 for heat waves. We need to do something about this global warming. We need to fix global warming, everyone. Just in case you didn't know. Oh god. Imagine if there wasn't so many systemic issues. You know, we can blame late-stage capitalism, but I'm also gonna blame the Christians because I want to blame the Christians. Historically, late-stage capitalism it was the Christians' fault. What do you mean climate change is real? What do you mean? You wake up again, it's still Monday, you think. For me, it's still Monday. It's still Monday. We're gonna go back to sleep because it's all we can do. Rae, get up! We're not gonna be late today. You grumble as you get out of bed and change into some clothes. Your mum pulls you into the car and to take you to school. It's fall semester again. It's been 1 year since all of this began, and despite being back at school semi-regularly, you still feel like you're always missing class to catch up on sleep. Not to mention, you're still tired all the time. You fall asleep in a couple of your classes, but you end up making it through the entire school day. Despite taking several naps, you're still exhausted. To home, your phone vibrates in your pocket. It's a text from Mum. She's out the front to pick you up for another doctor's appointment. Right. It's your first appointment in a while, actually, but you got a strong recommendation from one of your previous doctors. Maybe this time it will be worth the cost. You grab your backpack and head down to the main office. You know, the unrealistic thing about this game right now, though, is that they're actually getting in to see doctors. That's the thing that I can't do right now. I get referrals, and then I try to make an appointment, and they're like, I'm sorry, we're too busy. And it's like, okay, when's your next availability? And they're like, 10 months from now. And I'm like, can you just make an appointment then? And they're like, nope. Why? And then you try to get a referral at a different place and they give you the same information. They're like, we can't make an appointment with you because we're booked 10 months in advance. And it's like, can I just have the next available appointment? Because an appointment in 10 months time is still better than no appointment. And they're like, nope. I think the story would be harder to process if it was that realistic. Oh my god. You're just like waiting for doctor's appointments and then you get the doctor's appointment and they're like, well, we reviewed all the information and now all of your blood tests are also out of date, so we're gonna do some more blood tests and schedule another appointment for 10 months time. Where we'll tell you the same thing again. At the end of last year, your family was too broke to see any more doctors, and that's not even considering the emotional cost of it all. But after a summer of no doctor's visits, your family has saved up enough money and paid enough bills to start looking into the solutions again. The doctor comes in. Her coat reads, Dr. Shipley. Funny, that sounds like a sci-fi captain's name. Mum launches into an explanation. Dr. Shipley, like the rest of the doctors, listens to the spiel. She, like the rest of the doctors, nods her head. Sounds like you'll benefit from a sleep study, although it still could be something else. Let's get you scheduled for one. You sigh heavily, but make the appointment nonetheless. You schedule it for next week in the sleep lab at the hospital. I have done a sleep study. I do have sleep apnea. I am on a CPAP machine. It does not explain all of my fatigue issues, unfortunately. I must admit, I've been lucky to have found a doctor at critical moments of my life where you've made sure to get care, but COVID-19 has fucked up the industry around the world so much, and it was already so bad before that as well. Like, healthcare was in a crisis situation before COVID happened, and COVID made it so much worse, and nothing has been improved. There's been no infrastructural changes, there's been no additional funding, there's been nothing to help, and it's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. You have anxieties around seeing doctors now because you have the words to explain why seeing doctors has always felt like such a fight. The ableism in the medical industry is ridiculous. And it sucks. It sucks that it's not taken more seriously. I wish that there were solutions, but the solution is to dismantle the system and rebuild it, and that's not going to be possible with the current resources that we have. It sucks. Ableism, fatphobia, misogyny, racism, yeah, and they're all systemic issues, and they're not going to be fixed until we fix they can't be fixed like one at a time. They all have to be fixed like together, and it's just we just don't have the ability, like we don't have the ability to do it without actually getting the people that have the power on our side. And they don't want to be on our side. They want to be on the side where all the money is, which is, you know, against all of those things. Okay, schedule it for next week in the sleep lab at the hospital. I had my sleep test at home when I got mine. It was fun. They told me that I had 36 apneas in one night. At least this test will be harder to fail, given how great I am at falling asleep. 1 week later. Mum drags you to the sleep center for your sleep study. You've never stayed overnight at a hospital before, but this place is different than you expected. It's kind of cozy with a lot of closed off rooms. After getting checked in, you're shown to your room. The sleep tech attaches what seems to be electrodes to your head, chest, and legs. Stay hydrated, everybody. It's very important. He also puts 2 elastic bands around your chest to monitor your breathing. You're in hospital when you got yours. There are a lot. You were there for a biopsy, so your physician just booked you in for all the other tests too. I love that. I love that, you know, you're here for this, so you might as well do A, B, C, and D as well. Oh, yeah, I remember. That's kind of what I looked like as well. Mum looks down at you. You look like a robot. You snicker. She kisses you on the head. I'll be back in the morning. Sleep tight. Except I had to put them all on myself, which is awkward, because it's like, am I doing this right? Are these in the right spot? Be back in the morning, sleep tight. You crawl under the covers. The lights are off and the sleep tech talks to you over the intercom. A night stay turned into 3, oh my gosh. Well, at least they were thorough. That's so good. It sucks to be there for 3 nights, but it's good that they were thorough. The sleep tech talks to you over the intercom. He asks you to close your eyes, look up, look down, look side to side, checking to see if the monitor equipment is working properly. Okay, you're all set. Shout if you need anything. You fade into sleep. If you stay in hospital, medical aid pays for everything. That's awesome. I love that. Despite having numerous cords attached to you, you sleep fine. Once you wake up, sleep takes some of the electrodes off, but not all of them. It's time for the nap test. We'll have you try and fall asleep for 30 minutes every few hours. Once the nap tests are done, you will be free to go. You do the first 2 nap tests and fall asleep easily. Seems like you're passing. I'm gonna get a great grade at sleeping, which is something that is normal to want and actually achievable. I know, a nap test, I would not be able to fall asleep like that. One of the things that I struggle with is falling asleep. Like, I can fall asleep, but I have to have very specific set of conditions to easily fall asleep. And even though I have a lot of fatigue and, like, you know, I do sleep a lot, I can't just fall asleep. I could hear your stomach grumbling from the other room. How about I order some food from the cafeteria? You can fall asleep easily when you don't want to sleep. It's when you're trying to that you can't. You nod, that sounds pretty good. Oh, let's do soup. Soup. Your food arrives at the lab and you take a break to chow down. Not the finest meal you've ever had. I wish Mum had packed me something. Time to get back to taking naps. This isn't actually as bad as you thought it would be. You finish up the rest of your nap tests. Finally, it's time to go home. The sleep tech takes the rest of the electrodes off your head and releases you from your elastic bands. Mum has been waiting outside. She gives you a hug. How'd it go? Did you sleep okay? Let's tell her about the nap test. I got to sleep most of the day, but I didn't feel like I was missing out on life. It wasn't too bad. I'm glad. It reminded me of when you used to sleep over with Sadie in middle school. Although I'm not sure much sleeping got done there. You smile a bit. Those were fun times. The 2 of you head out the door and go home without another word about the study. Several weeks later. You finally get a letter in the mail and a phone call from the sleep doctor. Mum walks in with her. Mum talked with her on the phone for a while, but you come to see her in person. No doubt you're just waiting to get informed about yet another dead end. So we got the results back from the sleep study. I understand you've been looking for answers for quite some time, yes? You give her a weak nod. She hands you a packet of paper. This has some charts and numbers you don't understand. Well, after reviewing the test details, I feel confident that your symptoms are tied to a condition you may have heard of before. It seems like you have narcolepsy. Look up at her and stare in disbelief. Wait. It's been so long since all of this madness began. Is this it? Are you here? Did you finally have your answer? But narcolepsy isn't right. I've seen it on TV. People just fall asleep all the time, usually for comedic effect. A few years ago, someone dressed up as Narcolepsy Man for Halloween, and it was pretty funny to see him just keel over and snore. That's not what I have. Narcolepsy affects the brain's ability to regulate sleeping and waking cycles, which are characterized by excessive sleepiness during the day and falling asleep for short spurts at a time. Sleep doesn't really do the job it's supposed to be doing, so you wake up less rested than you should. You nod. What she's saying actually makes a lot of sense. Also, your story lines up with many that we get here at the sleep center. Most patients present symptoms between the age of 10 and 20 and often visit many physicians before receiving a diagnosis, if they ever do at all. With proper resource management and follow-ups, it's possible to live a full life with this condition. Tears come to your eyes. You feel lighter almost. This thing that you've been living with, this silent monster, finally has a name. Instead of shrugging off when people ask you what's wrong, you finally have a real answer. Mum gives you a hug. She's crying too. You thank the doctor and schedule another appointment for a more in-depth session later. That's so interesting. Yeah, I definitely don't have the exact same symptoms this person has. Narcolepsy makes sense. Like, the fact that she can fall asleep so easily. Just like all of the time. You and your mum are quiet on the car ride home. I know, right? Imagine. That's so cool. They actually got an answer. And they only saw, like, 6 doctors. And only like 5 of them were like demoralizing. Yeah, it's actually impressively small amount of doctors, to be perfectly honest. Although I'm sure that this is like, you know, a shortened version of what actually happened. You and Mum are quiet on the car ride home. Her entire demeanor has relaxed and you can see her relief. It's been a long couple of years for the both of you. Still, after the initial happiness of a diagnosis, a somber feeling has settled within you. You haven't said much since leaving the office. What's up? Let's be honest. I feel like I'm supposed to be happy about this, but I'm just not. Mum looks over at you, egging you on to say more. I don't know, I had thought that having a diagnosis would help, and it does help a little bit, but now we have to deal with the aftermath. You sigh heavily. Let's speak freely. I have to deal with this. You're just along for the ride. Mum looks a bit taken aback by this response, but doesn't say anything. Alright, I know this past months have been hard on you, but I really am trying my best. It hasn't been easy on me either. Let's say nothing. Let's not be mean. You bite your tongue and let her speak. It's been heart-wrenching watching you change from the happy, boisterous girl you were to the worn-down person you are now. What these past few months have done to you, no young person should have to go through that, but it's no excuse to stop trying. Tears threaten to spill from your eyes and your hands shake. I'm not stupid, Mum. I know what managing a disease means. It means it's not curable. It means I'm gonna have to live like this forever. If there's any hope, there isn't any hope. If there isn't any hope of getting better, why should I try at all? Mum pulls the car over to the side of the road, turning off the car so that she can look at you head on. Rae Kim, what problems do you see in the world? What? Come on, it's not that hard of a question, is it? Name a problem you can see. Kind of a vague question, you ponder it nonetheless. There's inequality, of course, and wars overseas, but also the corner store stopped stocking strawberry milk over the summer, which was a real bummer. Then there's everything you and Mum saw, doctors that didn't take you seriously, a lack of understanding from people about what you were experiencing. It hurts your heart to think of those things. Empathy. People don't relate to things they don't understand. Okay, who's going to solve that problem? Again, you're at a loss for words. Because the way I see it, if you see a problem and no one's there to fix it, isn't it on you to take the first step? You stop and think about that for a second. Did you get that off a Facebook post? Right, I'm being serious. You need to have a goal to work towards in order to keep going. Have a positive outlook on things is easy. Having a positive outlook on things is easy when life is going well, but sometimes life just sucks. Thanks, Mum. Sounds exhausting. Yep. Like, that sort of a thing is a really big thing. She's not entirely wrong, but yeah, right? Jesus. It's just like, that's a lot to put on a young kid. When situations are out of your control, you can either wallow in your own thoughts or you can control what you can, your outlook. I mean, it's good advice. You can control, like, you shouldn't necessarily focus on things that are out of your control, but focus on things that you can control. But it's still hard. Also, I did not realize that this was being overlaid incorrectly. The whole time. It was like not in the window correctly. My bad. It was mostly fine. It was a little bit out of the edge. It's because I'm playing this in a browser. It's on itch.io, by the way. It's also on mobile, but I'm playing it on itch. And it's free! I'll post the link in chat. But if you give up, there's no way for them to ever get any better. I don't want to lose my daughter to some condition she may have. I want you to find a way to be happy despite it. That's all I've ever wanted for you. You can't help it anymore. You spring forward to hug your mum. You cry into her shoulder as she pats your head. You both sit there until you calm down. Your father and I are here for you. We always will be. You can't just give up hope. You can't just give up hope on living a good life. You nod in her arms. You understand what you need to do now. I mean, like, I think that something that could potentially be more useful would be saying, like, as a parent, and I'm saying this as somebody who is not a parent, but, like, you know, this is just something that I feel like would have been helpful for me to hear, is something like, you should feel angry. You are allowed to feel angry. This is something that you will have to, like, live with for the rest of your life. So you have the right to feel angry about it, and you can feel angry about it for as long as you need to feel angry about it. And maybe that will be forever, and maybe it won't be. But you also have to allow yourself to feel other things as well. But you don't necessarily have to feel all of those things right now. You don't necessarily have to feel hopeful right now. But you have to allow yourself to be open to feeling other things as well down the line. But right now, it can be helpful to process with anger and sadness and mourning for the life that you wish you could have led without chronic illness. You know, you need that mourning period, and it would be helpful if people were more accepting of needing that mourning period. But most people are like, why don't you just move on and have a happy outlook already? It's like, no. You need the mourning period. It's important. And you can't dictate how long somebody's mourning period is. Be where you are, ask for help when you need it, knowing that there will always be more when you're settled on to move on from where you are. Exactly. Yes. You don't necessarily need to just jump to the next phase of your life straight away. Just, it's okay to be where you are, to feel what you're feeling now. You don't always have to immediately seek getting better or feeling better. Sometimes it's okay to just be in the feeling and feel it, because that's actually what's going to help you process what's going on and move on from it in an effective way, rather than in a disorganized way, in a disordered way even, because that can lead to other things, like not actually being able to feel emotions correctly or process things correctly. It can lead to dissociation, it can lead to memory barriers and dissociative amnesia barriers if it's pushed to its extreme. So, you know, do not discourage people from feeling their feelings. It's very important to feel your feelings. It's very important to have mourning periods when you go through something that life-altering. It's Tuesday. Sadie is down the hall walking towards you, but hasn't looked up from her phone yet. It's now or never. Sadie! She looks up and sees you smiling. She can't help but smile back. Rae, long time no see. Are you visiting again? No, I'm actually back for real this time. You're better now? Your smile falters just a moment. No, I got a real diagnosis though. I think this one is legit too. You both stand there looking at each other. It's been months since everything went down between the two of you, and you aren't quite sure what to say at this point. Look, I'm sorry I've been kind of distant. Everything just kept piling up and I didn't know what to do with myself. But you actually tried to reach out when no one else seemed to care, and I should have been a better friend to you. You shift your weight and take a deep breath. I was wondering, do you want to come over and write with me after school today? Sadie smiles, but there's something behind her eyes that upsets you. It's pretty obvious how much your fight hurt her. Maybe this wasn't such a good idea. Sure, I would love to come over. What are you working on these days? You laugh nervously, silently breathing a sigh of relief. I actually haven't touched my story since last year, so there's that. Gosh, it seems like a lifetime ago. I mean, it was a long time ago. I've been writing a lot since you've been gone. This summer I finished the first draft of a novel that I've been working on. Sadie, that's amazing! Sadie's bright face shines back at you. Thanks. You know, I'm actually in need of a proofreader. The members of the writing club are not the best help when it comes to sentence structure, but that's expected when your club is 90% freshmen. Whoa, wait, a writing club? Yeah, I kind of started it last year after winter break. We only have a couple of members, but this one girl, Alyssa, I think you would really like her. You giggle at Sadie's shyness, but it's obvious she's really proud of the club. You never would have guessed that she would start one on her own. Then again, it's been a whole year since you really hung out together. Maybe you weren't the only one to change. Well, if you happen to be accepting new members... Are you kidding? Of course you can join, but I have to warn you, it does conflict with drama club. That's alright. I always did like watching theatre more than doing it. The two of you laugh and chat all the way to her house. Turns out there's a lot to catch up on. Epilogue. Oh, we're dressed up. You girls have a good time and stay safe. Remember, if anyone makes you uncomfortable, you have my permission to punch them in the face. Good, Mum. Thanks, Mom. And if anyone touches you, thanks, Mom! Okay, have fun. I packed you both a quinoa salad in case you get hungry. Really? You made quinoa salad again? It went over so well at the potluck, how could I not? I'll be back to pick you up at 4. You and Sadie wave goodbye to Mum as she drifts off. It's been a few months since you and Sadie reconnected, and the two of you have settled into a comfortable friendship once again. It's a little different from before, but just as loving. Sadie was the one to bring up going to the anime convention that's held downtown every year. You never had the guts to go before, but after everything that's happened over the past few years, you decided it's time to step out of your comfort zone. Alright, the Super Space Sailor voice actors have a panel at 2:15. Until then, we can take a look at the show floor. Aye aye, Captain. Itami? I'll set a course. I'm so bad at names. Thank you, Miss Starling. You and Sadie set off through the aisles of the showroom floor. Vendors crowd the exhibit halls with all sorts of merchandise. Plushies, clothes, art books, you name it. Plus, there are cosplayers everywhere. Whoa, what are those crowds? What are these people crowding over there? Oh my gosh, what are those people crowding over there for? I think that's the artist who draws dark and gritty takes on things that definitely don't need to be dark and gritty. That seems interesting. Sure. But you can only see so many teddy bear homicide detectives before it gets old. I'll take your word for that one, Sades. You and Sadie laugh, hoping he didn't hear you criticize his work. So how goes the new medication? It seems like it might be working, but it's too early to say for sure. I'm just glad this one doesn't make me feel so jittery. Sadie nods along. You remember talking her ear off non-stop when you tried the last medication. Was it coffee? It was supposed to keep you awake during the day, but instead it made your heart race and your whole body feel twitchy. It probably did have caffeine in it. It sounds like a caffeine overdose almost. Medication management has been its journey of its own. You've lost count of the number of meds you've tried. As of yet, you've not found the perfect balance between treatment and side effects. Hey, want to take a tour down Artist Alley? The two of you take a hard left down path and head down the path of posters and prints that line the wall. An interesting piece of art catches your eye hanging on the wall behind one of the booths. Hey Sadie, wait up a second. You talk with the artist and she pulls the poster down off the wall. Sadie gives you a bit of a side-eye glance. You hold the piece in your hands. It's a picture of a cello, but the background is made up of playbills from various musicals. It seems like it was made for you. Wow, seems abstract, although the use of colour is très magnifique. You smile at her lame attempt to be bilingual. I like it, definitely worth the price tag. You hold up the picture to the light. This is going right up on the wall when you get home. Going right to the pool room. Having to quit orchestra and drama club has been tough. You don't see your friends nearly as much anymore, but focusing on schoolwork has paid off pretty well. Stay hydrated, everybody. It took some time to get back into the swing of things this year. You're gonna pass all of your classes. Your homeroom teacher even told you how impressed she was. You gently place the picture in your bag and continue with Sadie. I was meaning to ask you, Alyssa and I are going to stop by the new Boba place down the street tonight. Do you want to come? I would, but I have a doctor's appointment today. A rest for the wicked, as they say. Oh well, we can postpone if you want. Oh no, you guys have fun, but let me know what flavors they have. We can go some other time. Sadie smiles at you and nods. Lately, you've had to pick and choose when and where you spend your energy. That's relatable. It's just another part of your life that you've had to adjust to. Hey, let's take a picture. Right now? No time like the present. You pull out your phone and open the front-facing camera. You and Sadie squeeze together and put on your biggest smiles. Smile. Cheese. Feeling fine. It's pretty gosh darn cute. The camera shutter freezing this moment in time. Despite everything, life has found a new version of normal for you. You'll look back on this moment when you need to remember how much love and support you have in your life. And you'll keep on smiling. Oh, that was cute. Thank you for playing. This game was created by K-Jam. And all of these people. This was really nice. A little game, little visual novel, small team. They did a great job. This is a great job, guys. I loved it. It was very nice, very cute, very sweet. I feel like it was a nice sort of cap end to The Fall of Porcupine, because I was so disappointed in that game. And it was a small indie game as well. It did have more people, but it just... This really hit. This hit home. This had better writing, better characters than that game did. And I am sorry to criticize Fall of Porcupine as much as I have, but it was just not a game I could recommend, unfortunately. But this game was great, and I liked it. And it did. It ended with, like, a realistic amount of hope, and I loved that. It was great. I appreciate you for coming in and hanging out with me, Kamesy. That was very nice. And I'm glad to have experienced this with you. And thank you to all you chill cats, killer kittens, and variations thereupon who came in to hang out with me tonight as well. I appreciate you all, and I'll catch you next time.